everyone, welcome to Kelly's Roadhouse, the podcast where we recap every single Sweet Valley High book in the series. I'm Paula and I'm here with Richard.
Hello.
We are recapping Sweet Valley High book 4, Power Play, this month.
Yes, we are.
We've been really looking forward to this one.
This one is my favourite so far. I said that last time, but this one blew the last one.
You've said that about everyone so far.
Well, no, I didn't. I don't think I said it about Secrets.
No, actually.
I didn't say it about Secrets, but Playing with Fire, I really enjoyed. This one's even better, though. This one is amazing. Drama.
So, yeah, a lot happens in this one.
Yeah.
Just to warn you, it's got a lot of mentions of sort of weight problems and eating disorders.
They are really, really nasty.
It's mentioned a lot, so just a warning at the start. Mm-hmm. So on the cover, it says the Wakefield twins have taken sides against each other. And it makes it sound like the book's going to be about some kind of war between the twins, but it's not really about that.
It's nothing really about the twins at all, other than the twins being awful to someone, effectively, for different reasons. Like Liz and Jessica are both awful to this girl. Obviously, it's Robin. We know this because people that listen to the last podcast will know that it is about Robin Wilson.
Yeah. But
yeah, so there is a warning for what we've said. They do talk about someone who's overweight. There's a lot of bullying in it, so just be aware of that. But we're gonna, review this one, and it was a very entertaining book, so I'm looking forward to it.
The cover picture is a picture of the twins face to face, squaring up to each other.
Yep.
You can't really see their outfits. It's a bit of a boring cover, really.
Yeah, it's like two headshots, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think Jess got like a checked shirt on. It looks a bit cowgirlish.
Yeah.
Because I can just see the collar of it, but nothing much to say about that cover, really.
No, not the best cover, but maybe one of the best books, certainly so far.
So we open with Liz answering the phone to Mrs. Wilson, who is Robin's mum. She's called up and she's looking for Robin. Liz tells her she's not there, and Mrs. Wilson asks Liz if Robin seems happy at school. Then she starts crying, and she tells Liz that Robin wants to drop out of school because she's overweight and unpopular. And she says it would mean a lot to Robin if she was nominated to pledge Pi Beta Alpha. Yeah. Which is the sorority that Elizabeth and Jessica are in. We've already heard a lot about that in the other podcasts. Yeah,
Robin's mum seems really sweet. Like, she really cares about Robin, and she's worried about her daughter, and, like, I think she kind of knows that the Wakefields are probably trouble for her daughter. I get that impression. But she's kind of like, please look after my daughter.
Yeah. So we find out that Liz thinks that Robin is one of the smartest girls in school. And although she's a little overweight...
The first mention of overweight.
She's always cheerful and friendly.
Mm-hmm.
So even though she's overweight, she's still happy.
Yeah.
She's still friendly to people.
She's
fine.
She's all right. She's fine.
And then Robin knocks on their door.
Yes. So Robin turns up at the Wakefield house carrying washing.
She's looking for Jessica.
Yes.
And then, this is your favourite bit, actually. So you can tell what happens now.
Well, so Robin turns up with some washing. She's been doing chores for Jessica, and she turns up, and Liz decides, she goes out, and she kind of tries to act like Jessica, and Robin immediately sees through it. And Liz says, how could you not know? How did you know that I wasn't Jessica? And Robin says, no offence, Liz, but Jessica would never dress like that. Which I think is true. Yeah.
So when Robin enters the house, it says she plops down onto the sofa. Yeah. So it's already creating this picture of it like she just plops down.
Yeah.
Like a big lump. And she pulls a large chocolate bar from her bag and starts munching.
Immediately starts eating the candy bar. She offers Liz some of the candy bar, and Liz immediately is like, no. Yeah. I'm above eating chocolate.
And it says Liz is hypnotised by her rhythmic chewing. Like she's never seen anyone eating a fucking chocolate bar before.
Yeah. So
and she says, doesn't eating like that make you break out?
It make you pause for while she thinks about saying fat, but then doesn't want to say fat.
It says she stops herself from saying fat.
Yeah.
But it's like, why say anything at all?
Yeah, why even bring it up? Yeah, just be quiet, Liz.
If my mate came round and started eating a chocolate bar, I wouldn't say anything.
No, why would you?
Especially not mention Like, if it gives them spots or something.
Yeah, totally.
But Robin says she never gets it. It's only pounds. But that she's not meant to be slim, and it's just her sad fate.
Yeah, I really hate that. So Robin's really sweet in this, I thought. And yeah, she said it's her sad fate to always be big, and I thought it was really sad. I feel really bad for Robin.
Yeah, and I think Liz was really stuck up on that bit.
Yeah.
And then we get the description.
Mm-hmm.
So it says the twins didn't have Robin's figure problems.
No.
But they watched their weight carefully, which I thought was bullshit because they're always at the Dairy Burger.
They're
always having milkshakes and fries and burgers.
Yeah, always. It's pure genetics for them, I think.
Yeah, they're clearly like those lucky people that eat what they want. It says slim and 5'6". They are both beautiful with shoulder-length, sun-streaked blonde hair, flashing blue-green eyes, and perfect skin.
Mm-hmm.
They never dressed alike, apart from the gold lavaliers that their parents brought them for their 16th birthday.
Which is the thing that in Secrets Jess pretended to lose to impress Bruce.
I think they're wearing them on the cover of Double Love.
You've got the t-shirt on right now. Oh, there they are. Yeah, they are wearing them. Yeah,
I'm wearing a Double Love t-shirt. If you follow us on Instagram, you'll have seen today.
Yes, indeed. Kelly's Roadhouse on Instagram.
And I got the Double Love jigsaw puzzle from eBay the other day.
You did,
I was really excited about.
Oh, the final puzzle.
I've been looking for it for months because there's 4 different puzzles and I've had 3.
Mm-hmm.
This is the final one I need.
It was tricky to track down 3, but that Double Love one was a particular pain.
Yeah. Because
I think Winter Carnival's the most rare one you said, but luckily you managed to find that one quite early on. It's been a nightmare since. But anyway.
Yeah, anyway.
Back to this. So, basically, Robin's been doing chores for Jessica, and while she's there, she basically says to Liz that, she's desperate to get into Pi Beta Alpha.
Yeah.
She's absolutely desperate. And, Liz can't really believe that Robin is blindly believing everything Jessica's saying. And because Jessica's basically acting like her best friend whilst clearly using her just to do chores. But also she makes a point of saying that, a PBA is not, it's not the most important thing in the world. Yeah. But to Robin, it is like everything to her. So Liz offers to pledge her herself. Because Jessica's apparently offered, hasn't she? But then it turns out
she's just stringing her along and getting her to do things. Because the reason Robin's at the house is because she is dropping off Jess's dry cleaning and some books that she bought for her that she wanted.
Mm-hmm. And it turns out that next year she's going to be too old to pledge, so she has to do it now. So basically, it's like now or never for her to be in Pi Beta Alpha.
Mm-hmm. And it also says on this bit, because she says she needs to get going, and she starts to get up, and it says she struggles to get out of the deep sofa cushions.
I was going to say that part, yeah.
She's so big now, she can't even barely get up from the sofa, apparently.
Yeah, apparently it's just too much. I'm
sure she's not that big. I reckon she's like a size 12 or
That's the thing. In the world of Sweet Valley High, overweight is probably just like a normal person.
Yeah.
Like, I don't imagine she's that overweight, to be
honest.
honest.
That was a UK size 12, I meant.
Yes, yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. That is the problem with being in a different country to most of our listeners.
I think that's about an American size 10.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah, maybe
I'm
something
not sure.
like that.
I don't know.
But yeah, so, Liz is convinced that Robin's not going to listen to her. Robin's in a world of her own. And Robin asks to phone her mum.
Yeah, she absolutely freaks out when Elizabeth says...
offers to put her forward.
I'll nominate you.
Yeah.
And she's like, I have to call my mum immediately. She says she has to call her mum because she needs to ask her mum to buy her some new clothes so she doesn't embarrass the PBAs.
She'd die if she embarrassed the PBAs.
Yeah.
So off she goes to make the phone call, and Liz wonders if she's doing the right thing.
Probably not.
She, but she convinces herself that it is the right thing to do, even if Robin was a little overweight. All right, very overweight. That's a quote from Liz's subconscious.
And when Robin gets back from the phone call, she gets another candy bar out of her bag.
And immediately starts eating them.
Yeah, again. And she hugs and kisses Liz in an explosion of happiness.
Yeah, yeah.
And then she sees Jessica on the way out and she shrieks in her face about how wonderful Elizabeth is. And then she bounces away.
Yeah.
So she's going way over the top. She sounds really irritating, actually, but...
She sounds really irritating, but she's innocent and nice and, a sweet person. She's just trying way too hard.
I do like the idea of her just shrieking in Jessica's face.
I do like that, yeah. So Robin obviously leaves and Jess questions why she was there. Quote... Oh, have you got this quote? Go for it.
It might be a different quote than you, I don't know. The
quote I've got is, "Why was that fat wimp pawing at me and gushing all over the place?"
Yeah, that's the quote I've got.
Yeah. So Liz confronts Jess for, using Robin basically just to do chores.
Yeah, and then she reminds Jess that she was supposed to be helping her clean the house. Mm-hmm. And Jess says that she's been at the mall with Lila and she shows off a new sapphire blue silk scarf.
Yes.
That she says Lila's aunt sent over from New York, but Lila didn't like it, so she just gave it to Jess. Mm-hmm. Liz can't believe this because it's obviously an expensive scarf.
Yeah, but then Lila's family are extremely wealthy, so for now, she's like, a bit odd, but fine.
So yeah, we'll leave that there, but don't worry, that does go somewhere later.
Yes, this is an important part.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I really liked about this book, actually. The A and B plot were both really equally good. It wasn't... Because normally the B plot in these are a bit forgettable. This one's really good. So we'll come back to the scarf. I did like earlier on as well that... Liz was wondering where Jess was while Robin was there, and she thought she's probably with Lila at the mall, and she said she thought to herself that she would hate to hang around with Lila. She would rather spend a month in the dentist chair. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's been at the mall with Lila, and she has this new scarf, which as you said we'll come back to.
Mm-hmm. So Liz tells Jess that she's nominating Robin for PBA, and Jess is horrified.
She is furious.
She says, "That tub of lard in PBA?" And she says there's a problem of image.
Yes, a problem of image.
And she says she tries to be kind to everyone, but one look at that shape and they'll be calling us the pie butterball alphas. And then she storms out and slams the door.
And she before she leaves, she says, "Liz, are you completely absent from this universe?" So, in Jess's mind, it's all about image, and Robin doesn't suit the image that they want. The book goes to great lengths, or every book goes to great lengths, saying all American good looks and all of that. And obviously it's a very snobby sorority. It's all about image, and Robin just doesn't fit that image at all.
Mm-hmm. Then we cut to the PBA meeting that Jessica's chairing.
Yeah.
And Liz announces that she wants to nominate Robin.
Yeah, so Jess was hoping to make the meeting as short as possible so that she could finish it before Liz turned up. But unfortunately, Liz gets there just in time. And she puts her name forward.
And it causes pandemonium, it says.
It does, yeah. It causes pandemonium, but no one will dare go against them because Jess has put it out there that basically her and Robin are best friends. She's made out like they're best friends. So as far as they're concerned, Jess, who is now the president of PBA, the president loves Robin, and now Liz has put Robin forward. So no one's going to dare go against that.
Yeah, they're not going to go against
the
Wakefield twins.
Outraged they are.
But also someone does shout out, "She's that pudgy one, isn't she?"
Yeah.
So Jessica's fuming with Liz after the meeting. Mm-hmm. But Liz says Robin is nice, sweet and very smart. And Jess says, yeah, and surrounded by 2 tons of fat.
Jesus.
She reminds Liz that Robin still has to perform her pledge tasks decided by her, Lila and Cara before she can get in. So that sounds like trouble to me. Imagine those three,
Yeah.
So the 3 of them head to Robin's house to break the news to her.
Yeah.
That she's been nominated.
She's been nominated. And for the most part, the early part of this book, I quite like. Liz is like just playing dumb and just being like, well, she's your best friend. Why wouldn't you want to put her forward? Like, that's fine, isn't it? You've just been busy, so I thought I'd do it for you, knowing full well what Jess is actually thinking.
When Robin answers the door to Lila, Cara, Lila, Cara and Jessica. She's so excited she nearly pulls it off the hinges.
Yeah, practically ripping the door off of its hinges.
And she offers them sodas, chocolate shakes, eclairs, ice cream sandwiches.
Yeah.
All different kinds of food.
I know, but it's just nice, isn't it? And drink as well. Like, she's just being welcoming to their friend. They've probably never gone to her house before.
Yeah.
You know, it's like...
And she's babbling on and Jess is like, shut up.
Yeah, Jess is basically just shut up.
And tells her the news in a very serious way. And warns her that some of the pledge tasks may be difficult. And Robin says nothing would be too hard.
No, she's so excited. She's like, she will do anything to get in. She's gonna do it. And of course, you know, Lila and Jess are not impressed with Lila muttering, "What a drab existence. Let's leave before she offers us another eclair."
Yeah, how rude.
I mean, it's Lila, right?
I wouldn't mind going to Robin's house, to be honest.
Give
She
me
offers me all
eclairs.
that stuff.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, so before they leave, they tell her to meet them at the gym after school tomorrow. And when they leave, Robin immediately starts eating a whole cherry cheesecake to calm herself down.
Yeah. So Liz then comes home wanting to know, you know, how Robin took the news. You know, how did it go? And it says... I don't know if you picked up on this.
Probably, I think so.
But it says
Go
that
on.
Jess is wearing leotards and exercising to Jane Fonda tapes.
Oh no, I didn't pick that up. How did I not pick that up?
Yeah. So she's exercising to Jane Fonda tapes, but it says she's wearing leotards. Like more than one? Is that normal? I thought you just wear one leotard.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like
not
leotards.
normal.
It's
No.
like, how many leotards is she wearing? I like in my head, I'm like, she's wearing like 5 leotards for no apparent reason. Like,
No, that's not normal.
no. But anyway, she's exercising to Jane Fonda
No,
tapes.
I thought you were going to say that she says that Robin took the news with the disgusting offer of food.
That is the next quote I've got here, yeah.
And she says she wants them all to be as fat as she is.
Yeah. And obviously that upsets Liz. Liz is upset about the way Jess talks about Robin, even though we already know that Liz thinks exactly the same way that Jess does. But then she notices that Jess has got some new jewellery.
Some very expensive looking gold earrings. And she asks where they came from.
And again...
Guess where they came from?
It came from Lila's aunt.
Lila's aunt.
Yeah, Lila's aunt has just got...
And Lila didn't like them.
Lila didn't like them, yeah.
So then we're at school the next day. So as they told Robin to meet them at the gym after school.
Yes.
So it's after school, and Liz and Todd hear a commotion coming from the gym. They head over and they see a sweating, gasping Robin stumbling around the track, surrounded by lots of cheering students.
Bruce, in particular, being absolutely horrible here, says, "Way to go, Robin. Don't fall down. You'll dent the track." And Liz tells him, "Be quiet, you moron."
And then Jess says, "Hey, Liz, welcome to the Olympics for chubbers."
Yeah. Liz says to Todd that she's just about ready to commit murder. She's so angry at this.
Wish she would.
Yeah, she would, yeah.
I wish she would.
Yeah, I wish she would. So everyone laughs at the Olympics for Chubbo's comment that Jess makes, apart from Liz and Todd.
And then Jess says maybe if she runs around the track 137 times a day for 5 years, she might lose some of that fat.
Yes, 137.
137.
37 is the key number in this book. 37. I know it's come up like a couple of times in each book before. This book goes insane. So I think this is the first time it's been brought up, but it will come up a lot. Liz catches up with Robin.
Robin explains that it's a pledge dare,
Yeah.
and she's got to jog around the track 5 times a day for a week.
Yeah.
5 times a day around the whole track. But then 5 days later in the locker room, Liz tells her she's in inspiration, but Robin starts crying and says that she can't handle Saturday.
No, because on Saturday, she has to go to the beach in a bikini. And Robin breaks down and cries when she's telling her this. And
she has to play volleyball.
Liz thinks, oh boy, we have a problem.
Sure do.
So she questions if Robin even owns a bikini. And Robin says that she owns a 2-piece that's too small for her, so it effectively looks like a bikini.
Okay.
Yeah. Liz says that her, Todd and Enid and George, Enid and George, of course, still together, strong together
so
now,
glad.
which is nice.
So happy for those two.
I'm very happy for them. They're all going to the beach on Saturday anyway.
They're boring, but I'm happy for them.
Boring but happy. Boring since they gave up the drugs.
Yeah.
So boring now. They're going to the beach anyway. So they offer for Robin to join their volleyball team, which Robin accepts.
Liz shouldn't be encouraging this because it's obvious that if Robin goes to the beach and starts playing volleyball, everyone's going to laugh at her, and there's some kind of evil plan.
Absolutely, especially when she's already said herself and thought many times that PBA is not worth it. I don't know why she's even encouraging. No. I mean, you could argue like she's trying to support her at this point, but it does feel much more like she's just kind of letting things happen that she should probably say, don't do it. Like, it's obvious why they're doing this. Don't let them do it. It's not worth it, It's like she said it once, and then Robin was like, oh no, it's amazing. And then she's like, okay, fine, just do it then. I'll just let you do it. I'll let you go through with all of it. So Saturday comes around, and Robin is taken down to the beach with Todd. I think Todd drives them down, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And then when they get there, the day goes pretty much as you would expect. They immediately start making fun of her.
Yeah, they're playing volleyball, and Bruce and Jess are deliberately sending her impossible shots, and they're calling out. Bruce says, anyone into blubber will call your moves awesome.
Yeah.
They're just basically taking the piss out of her all day, as you would expect, like you said. But she makes it through the day, and then she gets a lift home with Lila and Jess. And they tell her she has to do one more thing to prove herself.
Oh, the impossible thing.
She has to get Bruce to take her to the disco marathon next weekend.
Yes. What book are we on? Book 5?
Book 4.
4.
Yeah.
4 books. And I thought by this point in the book, I was like, there's not going to be a dance this time. It's going to be the first one where there's not a dance. And here we are.
What the hell's a disco marathon?
I was going to ask
Sounds
you,
fun.
What is a disco marathon? It does actually sound fun.
Just a really long disco.
I guess so, yeah, like a 24-hour disco or something.
Yeah.
So yes, she has to ask Bruce Patman, the man who has been the most outspoken so far in the book, toward her, the one who's like taunted her more than anyone else. She must ask him, and he must accept to take her to the dance.
So in school, Liz sees Robin looking miserable, hunched under a tree, crying.
Yeah. She
tells Liz it's hopeless, and that she didn't think she'd have to do so many hard things to get in because no one else has had to. So obviously, they are just bullying her, really.
Of course they are, yeah.
She tells Liz the latest task, and Liz is absolutely fuming.
Yeah. She says she might as well ask Elvis Presley. And then Liz says, but Elvis Presley's dead. And Robin says, yes, exactly. I would have more luck asking a dead celebrity than asking
Liz,
Bruce
you
Patman.
idiot. Why Liz just doesn't get that joke,
Yeah, she's like, but Elvis is dead. That doesn't even work. That's not even logical. Like, what?
And then for some reason, she tells Robin to ask Bruce, and she says, I'm sure he'll say yes, just ask him.
Yeah, which is weird because Liz hasn't put her plan into motion yet, right? So it's like if she went up and asked immediately, he'd immediately say no.
Because it says when Robin leaves,
yeah,
she's like, oh shit.
Yeah, she's like, why did I say that? That was stupid.
And she's like, oh, what am I going to do now? But then she sees Bruce sliding nimbly across the tennis court in his designer shorts.
Yes.
And she comes up with a plan.
So she approaches Bruce, and Bruce asks, when is the Oracle going to run a story on the school's star tennis player? Obviously him. And Liz asks who that would be, sarcastically. And Liz then, she's about to kind of make fun of it and be like, not in a million years. But then she remembers Robin, the person that she just dumped right in the shit. And decides that maybe she could use her swing at the Oracle to help Robin. So she suggests that they could run a story about Bruce. And Bruce makes a point of saying, I want it to have a big photo of me in it, and it's going to, praise me as this amazing up-and-coming tennis star. But there's a catch.
She says, in return, would you do me a favour and take a certain girl to the disco marathon? And he starts preening and says, sure, I'll take you. I always knew you were attracted to me. And she's disgusted.
Yeah,
she tells him,
and to be honest, after playing with fire, I really don't blame her. Yeah. Like, I really don't blame her.
She tells him that she meant Robin.
Yeah.
And now he's disgusted.
Yeah.
And he says, Fatso Wilson, what would people think? And she's like, well, I could feature Tom McKay instead, who's also won all of his tennis matches this year. So he reluctantly agrees.
Yeah. Can't be upstaged by another tennis player, so he agrees to take her to the dance.
And then at home, she's feeling great that she's out with Jess and her friends. So she's not... That just says it already. She's not really done this to help Robin. She's just outwitting Jessica. I mean, like it says on the cover, it's like the twins against each other, you know. It's about their rivalry, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's exactly the same as what she did to Winston.
Yeah, I've written down that as well.
Yeah, because she's
did
like
this
using
Robin as kind of a pawn, and she did this with Winston as well.
Which, see, so I said to you before we started this podcast that, like, now I've got to this book, I'm starting to think that Liz is way worse than Jess. Because Jess is like a shark and she's just honest. Like, well, she's not honest, but she is what she is, right? Whereas Liz, you can tell by Liz's inner monologue that Liz thinks she's really self-righteous and she's really helping everyone. But in reality, she is the one that causes half of these problems by using people as pawns because she won't do her own dirty work, so she'll do it to other people.
Yeah.
Just to try and get back at Jess, sorry. So I think Liz is actually worse. So Liz gets home to find Jess heading out to the pool. And Liz thinks that and bear in mind, they're identical twins. Liz thinks to herself that with Jess's slim figure, she'd never have to deal with the miseries that Robin went through at the beach. And whenever they do these things, whenever she looks at her sister and thinks, oh, she's so perfect and attractive, I always think, yeah, you're identical, so you're kind of giving yourself that compliment as well.
Yeah.
Like every time she gives a compliment to Jess, she's giving a compliment to herself whenever she thinks these things. Jess and Liz talk about Robin, and Jess is convinced that Robin will never succeed. So Liz makes a bet with her. She bets a week's worth of washing that she'll manage to do it, which is a really shit dare because if she loses, then Liz has to do the washing for a week. If Jess loses, she'll get Robin to do the washing for a week.
Yeah, probably.
So Jess never loses.
Why didn't their parents do their washing anyway?
Where are
their
their
teenagers
parents right now? Their parents are barely here.
Yeah, I don't know if they're mentioned.
Their parents, they're
book,
not,
actually.
because there's a bit later, spoilers, Juvenile Hall, where I actually put a note saying, oh, it's lucky that Ned wasn't here, because there's every chance he might be as a lawyer and whatnot, but, you know.
I mean, it's like the TV show. In the TV show, their parents just do not exist.
We were literally watching an episode just now, and we really talked about that. They're never there.
Yeah. They literally aren't in it at all.
No, they don't exist.
Not even as an extra or anything.
No.
They're just not there.
They're just not there. It's the same with Power Rangers. I think it's something to do with Saban. They just never have parents in their shows.
Then Lila arrives.
Yes, so Lila arrives and gets questioned by Liz.
Yeah, Liz is like, how's your shopping freak aunt? And Lila's like,
don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And she's like, the one who showers you with gifts.
And then something kind of clicks with Lila, and she's like, "Oh, yeah,
she's that one,
aunt, yeah."
And she says she's fine, thanks.
And Liz says that Lila's wearing a lovely ring, which Lila just brushes off and says, "Oh yeah, it's okay."
It's a magnificently crafted ring with a pharaoh's head carved into it.
A very important ring, as we will discover later on. So, using her incredible journalistic skills, deduces quite ingeniously that Lila might not have a rich aunt in New York, and that this might be a lie.
Yeah.
But she does wonder if she's just trying to hide her generosity, or if she's trying to buy Jessica's friendship, which I thought was weird as well. She's thinking, oh, maybe Lila's trying to buy Jessica's friendship, when at the start of the book it was made clear that Jess absolutely loves Lila and Bruce and anyone with money. So it's she's kind of she's going to be friends with her anyway if she wants to be.
So then we cut to the Arkle office.
Oh, yes.
Robin bursts in with a face as red as a boiled lobster, gasping for breath, and she clutches the back of a chair for balance. It's like the most dramatic entrance.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive.
Just imagine a bright red, out of breath, clutching onto a chair.
Yeah.
And she tells Liz that Bruce said yes, and she starts laughing and crying and hugging Liz wildly.
Yeah. She is. She's very excitable and she's very over the top and very physical when she's happy.
And then she flies down the hallway on wings of bliss.
Yeah, I'll tell you someone who's not on wings of bliss though, and that is Jess. Because Liz talks to Jess about Robin achieving what she needed to do. She's managed to get the date with Bruce, and
and it
Jess,
actually says Liz is enjoying rubbing it in Jessica's face.
Yeah, totally. She's like as much to blame here, I think, as Jess, to be honest. Maybe a little less, but she's making it. If it wasn't for Liz, none of this would be happening. Robin would have not been pledged by now. It just wouldn't have happened, and that would be the end of it. So it is kind of Liz's doing as well. But so she tells Jess, and rubs it in her face, and Jess is furious and says that she feels like her head is going to burst into at least 537 pieces.
That's a lot of pieces.
It's a lot of very specific number of pieces.
And she says it's like science fiction.
Yeah. How can such a thing happen? It's like science fiction. Liz suggests that Jess can figure it out while she does the washing. And Jess storms out.
Then we get to the disco marathon.
Yeah, it's the night of the dance. And amazingly, no mention of the droids.
Yeah, the droids aren't
Where
playing.
are the droids?
Must be really shit.
It must be a rubbish one.
Liz is dancing dreamily in Todd's arms.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Feeling utterly in love.
But then she hears some giggling.
So Robin enters with Bruce, and she's radiant with happiness.
Oh, yeah, she's really happy.
But
Jess and Cara and Lila scowl in anger at her arrival, by the way, just to throw that out.
3 witches.
But it's not to be.
No, Bruce leads Robin onto the dance floor.
And people part. They make a point of saying everyone parts.
Yeah.
And it looks like they're going to have this wonderful moment. But then...
And then he steps away from her and he says, "Okay, I brought you to the dance, Chubby. I've got better things to do now. Anyone want to steer Queen Mary around the floor? She's all yours."
And then Bruce
he leaves her.
Walks out, leaving Robin, who's kind of frozen, like paralyzed in this moment of utter humiliation, and just everyone's staring at her.
It's just a nice scene from a film, doesn't it?
It does. I really felt for her in this.
I really had a picture of it in my head
I
as
did.
I was reading it.
And the bit afterwards in the toilet in a minute, like I really felt like this. I felt like, oh my god, like, I feel so bad for her here. It's actually really, really horrible.
Yeah, she pushes her way through the crowds and out of the gym, and Liz follows her.
Yeah, it says, like an animal momentarily paralysed by a bright light, once recovered, all she could think about was escape. And she runs out. I've got to ask at this point, what the fuck did Liz think was going to happen?
I know, exactly.
Like, this is obviously... He agreed to take her to the dance. That was going to be it. I mean, like, he was never going to, like, be with her all night, dance with her.
The same with the thing at the beach. What did Liz think was going to happen when she got there?
Yeah.
It was obvious. She was obviously going to get made fun of as soon as she got there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's ridiculous. But anyway, Liz grabs Robin as she's trying to make her escape and takes her to the toilets, getting Enid to watch out for Jess or Lila or anyone else that's going to try and use the toilets.
It says Liz is mad at Bruce for being disgusting. She's mad at Jess, Lila and Cara for thinking of the stunt. And she's mad at herself for bribing Bruce. So
she should be.
She's acknowledging her part in this a little bit. Then. Yeah,
she is a little better in this book at least being self-aware of what she's doing.
And it also says she's mad at Robin for being so desperate.
I don't think any of this is Robin's fault. Like, Robin is completely innocent in this book. So
she's got Enid guarding the door, and Robin completely breaks down, and she says her life is ruined.
Yeah, and Liz then says, "Stop talking like that. If you stopped crying and feeling sorry for yourself for a moment, you might learn something."
I think it's like she's decided to give her some tough love, but
it's the worst.
It comes across as a bit nasty.
It comes across really nasty. She's at her lowest. I mean, like, can you imagine? Like, she's already not popular, right? She obviously really likes Bruce.
She can't get up off of sofas.
Yeah, she can't get up off the sofas. She's having a really hard time. But this would crush... I mean, God, I was thinking about this, like, because I was bullied in school and, like, didn't have a great time in school. Not this bad. But I'm like, if something like this happened to me, I'd be, I'm done here. Like, school is like over, right? Forever. I mean, being a teenager and having this happen would just be the most humiliating thing that's ever happened, right? And then Liz is like, no, now is the right time for tough love.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's not. Now is not the right time for tough love.
Yeah, she tells Robin to look in the mirror at how pretty her face is. But as she examines Robin closely, she realises that it's true.
Yes.
Like, she's literally just like, oh, actually, yeah.
Actually, you are kind of
I've
pretty.
never really looked at her before, apart from her weight. And now I'm suddenly looking at her face.
Now I've been forced to look at her face.
After I've known her for months and months.
Yeah. So she says, Robin says that she spends most of her time not looking at mirrors, and that she may be the ugliest, fattest girl in California. She says that while Liz sees beauty in the mirror, Robin sees a beast. And then Robin runs. Oh no, sorry. And then Enid opens the door and says, "Oh, there's quite a queue out here, guys. Like, we need to do something." Apparently, there was more dancing in the queue for the toilet now than there was on the dance floor at this point.
And also, Todd is threatening to rearrange Bruce's face,
which I loved.
I loved that. Yeah, good old Todd.
I will say, of people in this book, Robin and Todd are like the two in this book that I was like, actually like these two. They're fine.
Yeah,
Robin
like Todd's
does
sticking up for Robin. He's nothing to do with Robin.
No, but Todd is nice, and Todd isn't actually mean to her at all in this book.
No, he's just a nice guy.
He's just a nice guy.
I do like Todd in the books.
I do, but I can't
He's boring,
help but
but I
see
like
the
him.
guy from Sweet Valley, the show.
I like him in the show as well.
The first Todd we're talking about.
Yeah, I don't like the new Todd, the second Todd.
So Robin bursts out of the toilet and past all of the people waiting to use the toilet. Liz rushes out after her, but she bumps into someone.
Yeah, she bumps into the tallest, smartest and shyest boy at Sweet Valley High.
Alan Walters.
He takes pictures for the Oracle, but otherwise he keeps himself to himself. She tells Alan she has to go to Todd.
Yes, to stop him rearranging Bruce's face.
Him rearranging Bruce's face. But she asks him if he can stop Robin, as she doesn't know what Robin will do. And Alan says he can't, but she shoves him towards the door.
Yeah. So Alan rushes after Robin, who I think quite understandably turns around and asks him why he's chasing after her. Like, why is this random guy chasing after me?
I feel really sorry for Alan now, though.
I feel sorry for both of them. Actually, I forgot to say just now, really Alan's another one. He's really nice.
Yeah. She asks why he's following her, and he says that Liz asked him to. And then he gets tongue-tied. Yeah. Because he's really shy. Yeah. And she starts mimicking him.
I know. She
says, "Why can't?" She says, "Why can't you put a sentence together? I thought you were supposed to be smart." And I felt really sorry for him then.
Yeah, well, she basically, says, she makes fun of him.
Like we said in the last podcast, though, from Romy and Michelle, everyone in high school makes someone's life hell.
Yeah, and
so
she's doing it.
She's
doing it to Alan. Yeah, but not for long.
Alan.
She basically says that her life is ruined.
And she screams at him that her life is ruined.
Screams, that her life is ruined, and basically just tells him to fuck off.
Yeah, and she says, "You offering to help me is the biggest joke of the whole night."
Yeah. So Alan looks really sad and sorry. He says he's sorry, and he walks away with his head down. But Robin soon realizes that she's just shouted at an innocent bystander.
Yeah, and she's not behaving any better than Bruce did.
Yeah, exactly. She's just as bad as Bruce. So she calls him back. They both apologize to each other, and Robin thinks what Liz just said to her about not giving up, and that you shouldn't let them win. She says, what are you doing? And Alan says, I'm just going to go home. Like, this dance isn't really my thing. She remembers what Liz said to her, and she said, well, you can't run away from your problems, Alan.
Yeah, because he says that he shouldn't have come to the dance, and he doesn't really have a lot to say to people at these things. Yeah. But she says, you need to... I can't understand my writing.
You can't run away from your problems.
She says you need to assert yourself and go back in because you've got as much right to be there as anyone else. And he says, I'll only go back in if you do.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, what? No, I'm not going to take my own medicine. Yeah. I'm not going to take my own advice. But eventually, they
do go back in. And Jess swirls past them and tells her that pledges shouldn't hang out with wimps like Alan Walters. Yeah. And they have a bit of a dance, but she's embarrassed and he's not a very good dancer.
They're both quite clumsy, it makes a point of saying.
So they're just like, let's just leave. Yeah. And he walks her home, and on the way home she notices that he has very nice eyes.
That he's taller than she realised and has very nice eyes. He sees very well. So Liz argues with Jess about what happened at the dance.
Yeah, Liz is raging at Jess.
Yeah, she's blaming her for what happened with Bruce, even though it was actually her fucking fault.
Yeah, Jess says, like, we can't figure out why Bruce took her to the dance in the first place.
Yeah.
And then suddenly Liz wants to drop the subject.
Suddenly Liz is like, oh, let's change the subject, actually. Let's not talk about this anymore. The next day, Liz is, the envy of her sister. She is able to take the fit spider down to the mall to run some errands for her mum, Alice. So her mum's mentioned, but not in it.
Yeah. She's picking up her mum's watch from a repair shop, and then she spots an exclusive little shop called Lisette's that she's never noticed before. I think it's just like sort of a little boutique with jewellery and scarves and accessories and stuff.
But specifically, what item is in there?
So she goes into browse and she sees some silk scarves that are exactly like the one that Lila gave to Jess.
Yeah, from Lila's auntie. The
saleswoman sees her looking and says they're exclusive to the store. And she realises that Lila must have been lying about her aunt sending it over.
Yeah.
And then she starts to get a bit nervous and flustered. And then she accidentally knocks over a tray of jewellery.
Yes, she knocks over a tray of rings onto the floor and basically says sorry, but then is told by the shopkeeper to stay there until all of the jewellery is accounted for. They pick it all up, and then they said that's fine. And the shopkeeper says that they've been targeted by a thief lately.
Yeah, she says they've installed a new security system.
Yeah, so
and
whoever the thief
won't be so easy from now on. Yeah,
no,
whoever's
absolutely.
stealing it better watch out.
Even though we find out in a minute it's just as easy, but that's fine.
And she says that the lovely scarves that Liz was looking at had a twin, but it was stolen.
And they're exclusive to this shop. They're not sold anywhere else. Liz also notices a very specific ring. The same ring.
A magnificently carved ring.
Yes, Pharaoh's head.
With an Egyptian pharaoh's head on, yeah. That ring sounds amazing.
It actually does sound pretty awesome, yeah.
So yeah, Liz heads off, terrified of her own thoughts.
Yeah. But she can't sleep that night because of her suspicions about Lila and Jess. Liz thinks about going in and just asking Jess if she's a thief, like straight up asking her, but thinks better of it when Jess herself bursts in wearing the scarf. But rather than ask her about the scarf and just be like, where did this come from? Or, it sounds like Lila was lying about this auntie. Instead of saying that, she just says that it makes Jess look yellow.
Yeah, she says the scarf makes your face look yellow.
Yeah, it's like you look like
and Jess is like, how could you let me walk around with a yellow face?
Yeah, and she immediately throws it on the floor.
Yeah. And then she asks Jess what time the PBA meeting is later. And Jess is like, oh, you don't have to go. I'll vote for you. Because it's the night of the vote where they vote the pledges if they're going to get in. But Liz is like, no, it's okay, I'll come. And all day at school, Liz is spaced out.
Yeah.
But as usual, she won't tell Todd what's wrong.
No, she never tells
She does
Todd.
this in all the books. Like, if, your boyfriend asks you what's wrong and you just say, she's like, oh, nothing. But she does consider telling Mr. Collins what's wrong.
Mr. Collins, the centre of
she won't tell her boyfriend, but she'll tell her teacher.
Being Mr. Collins must be the most awesome thing in Sweet Valley because all of the gossip seems to
get
to him
everything,
somehow.
Yeah,
they always confide in Mr. I'm assuming Mr. Collins is like the coolest teacher at school. Like when you're in school, there's always a cool teacher.
Yeah.
Mr. Collins must be that because everyone wants to.
Yeah.
So she considers it, but just changes her mind.
Yeah. So then we're at the meeting. The PBA meeting, and a red wooden box is being passed around.
Yeah, so Susan...
For the pledge vote. Susan
Hallen gets in. She's voted in because she suits them and also because her dad has a Rolls Royce.
Oh, cool.
That's your criteria for getting in the PBAs.
So, for anybody that doesn't know how this works, it seems like...
I didn't know until I was reading this. So, there's like a box and they've all got marbles.
Yeah, so the red wooden box is passed around and everyone's got black marbles and white marbles, and then they say a name of a person. I think this is how it works anyway.
Yeah,
I've never done it, obviously.
They put a marble in.
Yeah, and if they put a black marble in, it means they're voting against that person.
And I think one black marble means you can't.
Yeah, you're blackballed.
Whoever put it in, it's anonymous, but if you put it in, you're done. That person's not going to be selected.
So they get to Robin. Jess opens the box, and surprise, surprise, there is a black marble inside.
Yes.
Who put that there, I wonder?
I have no idea.
Well,
Bearing in
everyone
mind,
is shocked.
Everyone's shocked because it's the president's best friend. And
Yeah.
Liz voted for her. Who would dare go against these two?
But Jess has the look of a martyr facing the lions inside the Roman Colosseum, it says.
Yes.
And she bravely tells everyone she'll go and break the news to Robin that she's been blackballed.
Mm-hmm.
And Liz is like, well, I'm coming with you.
Yeah.
And they meet Robin at the mall.
And she's mortified.
But Jess says, don't worry, if I need help with my errands, I'll still ask you first.
Yeah. And then Robin says she literally has nothing to live for anymore.
Yeah. And
Liz is concerned by this, but just basically just says, she didn't mean it like that.
Yeah.
Like, I think she might. Look at what's just happened to her in the last couple of days.
I know.
She might genuinely believe it. I mean, being a teenager and being humiliated the way she's been, and then, like, it's just blow after blow for her. So, you know.
When they get home, Liz calls the Wilson household, but Robin won't speak to her. So the next day at the Oracle, she asks Mr. Collins why people who have everything, looks, popularity and money, would want to hurt people by excluding them. She says she thinks those people are...
or would hurt people by using them as a bloody pawn in
Yeah,
revenge against
yeah.
your sister.
She says that these people are the deprived ones because they have no kindness or compassion.
And Mr. Collins says, that sounds like a wonderful column for the newspaper.
That sounds like an article.
Yeah.
So she gets to work and she writes an article. And I love the name of it.
The headline.
It's called Snobbery is Alive and Well at Sweet Valley High.
Yeah.
Including you.
Yeah, including herself. The article gets published and everyone in school sees it, apart from Robin, who has not been in. And Liz was hoping Robin would see it.
Yeah, she means the article is a public apology to Robin and as a slap in the face to Jess and Lila.
And the PBA.
And the PBAs.
Yeah.
And Jess says the entire state of California knows it's about me. So I'm sure...
Yeah, Jess
I'm sure
storms the office.
Sure that many people read the Oracle.
Yeah,
I don't think the reach for it is that big.
Yeah. Well, you know, Jess storms in and she says, you know, everyone's going to know it's about me. And Jess says, you know, she might have said 837 times that blimps are not popular.
Blimps are not popular people.
Yeah, yeah.
And she says, who nominated Fatso in the first place, huh?
Well, and again, she kind of has a point. This is Liz's doing.
Exactly,
Liz is the reason that this is happening.
And she also says she knows why Bruce took Robin to the dance, because he told Cara.
Yeah, Liz is annoyed by this, but she's at least happy that she never published that article. She ripped it up before using it.
Yeah, the article about Bruce, the tennis one.
Which makes me think maybe Bruce only told Cara because she didn't do the newspaper thing.
I reckon he would have.
Anyway. I guess he would have done anyway, but yeah.
And yeah, Liz is worried about Robin though, because nobody's seen her for days. She hasn't been in school, she hasn't been answering the phone. And Jessica says, if that lardo does anything to make me look bad, I'll never do her another favour again.
Yeah, I'm sure she'd love favours from you.
Yeah.
So later that day, Robin's mother phones Liz and tells her that Robin has been away, but she's back now.
She's alive.
She is alive.
I genuinely thought she was dead.
I
thought she committed suicide.
I think you'd already said, like, kind of the broad strokes of this book, so I kind of knew that wasn't the case. But if I was reading it without that, I probably would have thought that this was heading towards suicide, to be honest.
Yeah,
that's the way I thought it was going to go. So she's back, but she says... Sorry.
She's been staying at her aunt's house in LA.
Yes, a real
If you want to know where
this aunt is real.
Yeah, not an
like
imaginary aunt.
So she says that Robin is back, but she doesn't want anything to do with Jess, the sorority, or Liz, and that they should respect her wishes and leave her alone. She says she's only telling Liz because Liz seems so worried.
Yeah. And she gets back to school and she's changed. She doesn't wear any makeup anymore. She dresses in a drab blue tent dress. And her friendly face and enthusiasm was gone.
It also
Not the
says...
enthusiasm.
She notices, and I quote, she began to look different. But Liz can't figure out how she looks different. And I was like, I wonder what it could be. I wonder. Liz notices...
Yeah, she won't speak to Liz, Jess, or anyone else.
Yeah,
really.
she like flat out. I think she like has like one word with Liz, completely blanks Jess. Jess actually walks up, tries to talk to her, and she just walks away. She's got nothing to do with her.
And meanwhile, someone else has changed as well.
Well, Lila has been dressing more and more elaborately.
Yeah, she's been wearing elaborate jewellery and flashy clothes.
Yeah.
And she's constantly been boasting about how much her dad loves her.
Yeah.
And how he's going to send her to school in Paris.
Yeah. But, Liz has finally had enough. And when it's revealed that Jess has even more new jewellery, she confronts her and basically suggests maybe Jessica's stealing.
Jess is outraged.
Yeah,
and
understandably.
she accuses Liz of being jealous of Lila.
And says she's going to go and tell their mum. At which point Liz backs down.
I'm telling.
Yeah. At which point Liz backs down and says she does believe her, but she's just really worried.
Yeah. The next morning, Liz is watching Robin run around the track. She was like a machine, apparently, and she looked strong and athletic. This is where I get annoyed now.
Okay. Only now?
Only now, yeah. I've been fine up until now. So Liz sees Robin in the cafeteria a few days later, and instead of her plate being piled with burgers and fries, it now holds lettuce leaves, 2 slices of tomato,
and
a boiled egg.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't even have a whole tomato. 2
No.
slices.
Yeah.
That's not a meal. And it says she's running 5 miles a day.
Yeah, she's doing...
5 miles is a long run.
It's a long run with very little...
every day.
With, the protein of 1 egg and some lettuce. She's got no carbs. There's no carbs in that at all.
Not even any cucumber.
Well, a little bit of carb, I guess, from the lettuce. But barely any.
So, lettuce leaves, 2 slices of tomato and a boiled egg. That's her lunch.
But she says that, Liz says she's worried that... maybe she's going too far or that she's doing something silly. And Robin basically says, look, if you're worried that I'm starving myself, I wouldn't give PBA the satisfaction of...
But Liz notices her every lunchtime and she's looking tired and alone. And she's picking at her scaled down lunch. So when this bit was... being told, I thought it was going to be an eating disorder storyline.
Yeah.
Because, it says about her looking tired, about the eating, about her running around the track. But no. It's actually a positive. They're painting it as a positive thing.
Yeah, it's really weird because...
I was quite horrified at, really.
Yeah, it's one of those weird things where I can see the intent of the book is that, this girl overcame adversity. She got herself in shape and she sorted herself out. But it's horrible. The way they describe everything that's going on, she's basically just torturing herself to try and to fit in, and it's horrible. It's really horrible.
She's doing way too much exercise and she's barely eating.
Yeah.
And she's alone. She's isolating herself, not talking to anybody.
Yeah, she barely says a word to anyone. Yeah. She just shuffles around and barely speaks to them.
And then it says that Liz thinks that Robin is becoming pretty.
Becoming pretty because she's losing weight.
She looks tired.
Yeah, but she's losing weight, which is all that matters in Sweet Valley.
Yeah, and Liz tells Robin she thinks that she's terrific.
Yeah, she says, I think you're terrific.
Yeah, well done. So at home, Lila calls, and she tells Liz that Jess has been arrested for shoplifting.
Oh, we missed a tiny bit.
Oh, did we? Go on.
Because Liz is feeling bad for neglecting Todd, so she decides she's going to buy him a wrist bracelet or something, or a watch bracelet.
Oh yeah, watch strap.
Watch strap, yeah. And she basically goes to the mall and she sees Lila there. She's in the shop and she sees Lila stealing from the shop. Why
haven't I written this bit down?
That's okay.
I think I was so outraged by
you were just outraged by what was going on
the Robin cafeteria bit.
So she sees Lila take the jewellery and walk out of the shop. So Liz follows her out to her car just to kind of confirm that it is Lila, and Lila gets to the car and drives away. Then Liz is walking back through the mall and the shopkeeper sees her and tells her to stay right there, right? Now at that point, Liz should have just walked over to her and said, I know who the thief is. Yeah. But instead of doing that, she runs away. So it looks like she's guilty.
Yeah.
And you can see where this is going because they're twins.
Yeah.
So a couple of days later, Jess has been arrested. Lila phones and says, Jess has been arrested. You have to come help. She's at the mall.
Mm-hmm. So Liz heads straight to the mall and Lila tells her that the store detectives are at the back of the shop with Jess.
Yeah.
Lila says she had no idea that Jess was stealing. But as soon as they walked into Lisette's, the security guards said they've been waiting for her to come back.
Yeah.
And they arrested her.
Which is Liz's fault, 'cause she
Yeah,
ran
so
away.
Liz realises, they've got the two of them mixed up.
Yeah.
She tells Lila that she knows that she's the one who's been stealing.
Yeah.
And Lila breaks down in shame.
Yeah, she says she's doing it basically because her father is always away, never spends time with her, and it's a cry for help. She basically wanted to get caught, effectively.
She says the twins don't know how lucky they are that their father loves them. Her father is always off working abroad. But she realises now that he can never find out, and she doesn't want him to.
Yeah, she says that she can only trust Liz, and that Liz is the one true friend she has, even though Liz hates her. So she's the only person she can trust, and she says that she'll come clean, but she really doesn't want Jess or anyone else to know.
So they go to explain to the salesman and the security guards. But when Lila opens her mouth to speak, she faints. Yeah,
she faints. And when she comes around, Liz tells her, look, your father's coming. He's on his way. And Mr. Fowler comes and, he makes sure that his tearful daughter is okay. And then he goes to the back to speak to the security, the police, and the shopkeeper. And basically, he agrees to pay for everything. And the shopkeeper and security and the police say, well, it was her first offence, so she can get away with it because you're paying for everything. And I did make a note of saying it probably helps that the Fowlers probably own half of the city.
Yeah.
That might have something to do with the generosity here.
But they are pressing charges, though.
They are going to press charges, yes. Yeah. So
when he returns, he tells Lila they're going home.
Yeah.
And he tells Liz, he thanks Liz for helping out and says that they owe her.
Yeah. And Jess, who was sent away by Liz to the car, she told her to go wait by the car so she didn't see what will happen with Lila, is waiting outside when Liz gets out there.
So Mr. Fowler thanks Liz and says that they owe her. And she says, if you want to do something for me, you can spend more time with Lila.
Yeah.
And Lila hugs Elizabeth hard.
Yeah. And Jess, then waiting by the car, is absolutely furious because she's been arrested. She doesn't know why she was arrested.
You would
or
be
attempted
furious,
to be
really,
arrested.
wouldn't you?
Yeah. And now Liz comes out and refuses to tell her what happened.
Yeah.
What was even going on. Even though I thought it's really blatantly obvious what's just happened, because why did Mr. Fowler come and all of that? It's kind of obvious what's been going on. How Jess doesn't put two and two together at this point.
Yeah.
When she's been getting all this jewellery and Lila's been, it's like, come on. But Liz refuses to say, which drives her absolutely crazy. And then to make things worse, Liz is then phoned by Lila, who asks her to come to juvenile hall with her and her father. So Liz, of course, obliges.
Yeah, she wants her to be a character witness for Lila.
Yeah. So she's a character witness for the girl that she hates. And they go. Lila gets 6 months probation. So as long as she doesn't recommit any crimes in the next 6 months, she'll be fine. But of course, Liz comes home dropped off by Lila, or Lila's car at least, and Jess is waiting there, and Jess is now furious. She's like, what's going on? Lila's my best friend, why are you hanging around with my best friend and you won't tell me what's going on or what you're doing? And Liz says, I was just getting a lift home, that's all it was nothing more than that. So she's trying to keep the secret.
The next day at school, we're in the Oracle office, and Liz is writing a story about the midterm cheerleading tryouts, and she can't believe it when she sees whose name is on the list.
Robin Wilson.
So breakfast the next day, Liz smugly tells Jess the news.
Yeah.
Jess says Robin is a space cadet, and she walks around looking like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
So they can't. It's because she can't call her fat anymore.
No.
She's lost weight, so she still makes fun of her. She just moves on to other things.
I don't think being called a space cadet is really insulting. If I'm honest, I think that's okay. Jess also says at this point, before she gets the news, she says that the paper is probably full of the usual 137 disasters and usual business and politics.
Liz points out that Robin's becoming very popular since she lost weight, and even Bruce Patman's been drooling over her.
She also points out that unlike the PBA, which is controlled by Jessica, anyone can apply to be a cheerleader, and Jess cannot control that. So even Bruce Patman was, quote, drooling over her. Jess says that Bruce is the jerkiest person in 37 states.
And Mexico.
Jess says that
That
beauty.
makes no sense,
this is no, it doesn't make any sense. This is the best part. Jess now says beauty is only skin deep, and it's what's underneath that counts. And underneath, Robin is a freak.
Yeah, she says Robin is a deranged freak. Why she doesn't like any of us after what we did for her is the mark of a sick person.
Yeah.
So we learn that Robin is completely transformed.
Yes, she turns up looking incredible.
She's wearing flattering clothes,
a rainbow top, jeans, and a new haircut.
Her pale face now has a healthy glow, and she's dazzling Sweet Valley High.
Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce almost walks into a door when he's drooling over her.
He asks who it is.
Yeah, he asks Liz who's the new girl.
And Liz says she's just moved here from Mars.
Yeah, she's called Wrecker Wilson, and he says she can wreck me anytime.
Ugh.
Like he literally wouldn't even recognise her. Though.
I know, I love that.
Like how drastically has she
especially
changed?
because and then this confirms it, doesn't it? Because if she's lost that much weight in this short amount of time,
yeah, it's been a few weeks.
Then she's really been unhealthy. This is really unhealthy.
So at the cheerleading tryouts, Robin is awesome. And she's immediately made co-captain alongside Jess.
Yeah, I know. I did actually really like this part of the book where it kind of picks up and Robin starts getting around back. I was like, this is good at least.
So Liz asks her how it feels to shove it all down their throats. But Robin says the biggest surprise is yet to come.
Yeah. Liz says that she hopes that Robin isn't going overboard. But Robin says she knows how to swim with sharks now.
So Liz and Robin become good friends over the next few weeks. And Bruce just follows them around everywhere.
Yeah, Bruce is just obsessed with Robin now. Robin basically also tells Liz that Jess is a total bitch and clearly the one who blackballed her. But Liz defends her sister, denying that it was her. Unbelievable. Robin thanks Liz for saying that the sorority was not worth it. But she also reminds Liz that she's already in the sorority and that she doesn't know what real troubles are because she's got everything. She's a girl with everything, which is very true. But then Liz thinks to herself that after all that's happened to Liz lately, she doesn't think that's necessarily the case. Well, everything that happened to Liz lately is Liz's fault. All of it.
Yeah.
All of the stress and drama that she's caused herself and other people is pretty much Liz's fault. So Liz is the only problems Liz has got is Liz.
Yeah. What problems are they talking about?
She's talking about the shoplifting.
But that wasn't Liz's problem. That was Lila's problem.
And all the Robin stuff, which was Liz's fault for starting.
Yeah.
Pretty much, because it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So, yeah, all her fault.
It says...
It gets worse for Liz. Poor Liz.
Yeah, so it says everyone at Sweet Valley High, including Liz, gradually forgot there had ever been a fat and ugly Robin.
Great. That's the moral of the story.
Yeah.
So it gets worse for Liz, though, because she receives a rejection letter from something I didn't know existed. The Sweet Valley Daily News, which is a school newspaper, a different school newspaper.
No, it's the actual newspaper.
Was it the actual newspaper? Yeah. Okay, sorry. I was like, is there another school newspaper? Can it be two school newspapers?
Sweet Valley News, the actual newspaper.
Oh,
so she's 16. She has no qualifications yet. And she's feeling down because her stories have been rejected by the actual newspaper.
And Mr. Collins even points out to her, he's like, you're lucky to have gotten a reply from the editor. That's actually really promising that they even bothered to respond to you. So, you can't win it all.
She tries to confide in Jess when she gets home about this, but Jess tells her to stop talking nonsense and to help her instead.
Because
she's got the biggest event of her life coming up.
Yep. Not the PBA, not getting with Bruce Patman, not making the
Another biggest event of her life.
Another biggest event of her life. She is going to become Miss Sweet Valley High.
The football queen.
Yeah, the football queen, which I guess is a thing now. I guess because she's a cheerleader.
Yeah, she says everyone thinks she's the logical choice. And I love this bit. So she says the whole football team's in love with her. And she says she hasn't encouraged them, but she thinks that a girl can be friendly and nice to several boys.
Yeah.
And then she asks Liz to lose all of the other contestants' photos
apart from hers.
when she writes the article about it.
Now, would that not be a little bit suspicious if everyone's photo, apart from Jessica's,
the writer's sister?
When by this point they've had the bit with the pool, they all know who the writer of the article is. They all know it's Liz. So at this point, it's like, isn't that going to be a bit obvious that you've just done that for your sister?
And then she wants Liz to give her the photos so she can burn them.
Yeah.
Sounds like she's going to do some kind of witchcraft ritual on them.
Yeah. But Liz refuses.
I could just rip them up, like she has to burn them.
No, she's going to burn them.
Like,
so
very dramatic.
You know, they could reprint them. Liz says she's going to treat everyone the same. And Jess says that it's the most unfairest thing she's ever heard.
And she storms out.
Yeah.
So over the next 2 weeks, Sweet Valley High looks like a spread from a fashion magazine.
I love this, right? Because they say that everyone who's wanting to be voted queen starts wearing their best outfits, right? And it says comfortable overalls disappeared. Who wears overalls to school?
I don't think they wore them anyway.
Well, I always thought overalls were something you wore if you were working on a car.
Yeah.
Not like, I'm going to go to work in this boiler suit.
But amongst all the hopefuls, Jess leads them all with her natural beauty.
Of course she does.
And the football team begin wearing sweatshirts with their name on.
Yes.
But then a typewritten note appears on bulletin boards all over the school.
Yes. It reads... Oh, have you got it? You've got it.
Yeah, I've got it here. So the note says, "Challenge accepted. It has come to my attention that members of PBA have forbidden any girl who is not a member to go out for Miss Sweet Valley High. I know all about the PBAs. They blackballed me. I accept their challenge. I ask for your vote." From Robin Wilson.
Liz is confronted by Jess about this. She's furious about who could have possibly done this.
Yeah, because the sign is the talk of the school because it's been put up everywhere apparently.
Yeah. Jess even confronts Robin. Or tries to. She tries to confront Robin. She says she demands to know who in PBA said that. Because it's making them all look bad. And Robin says...
people start calling them snobs.
Yeah. And Robin says she'll tell her if Jessica tells her who blackballed her from PBA. And Jess says she can't say that because it's a secret. So Robin says, well, this is also a secret. So she's not going to find out who it was.
And the note has worked really well because the chemistry club, led by Alan Walters, we love Alan Walters.
We love Alan.
They named their latest formula the Robin reaction.
I love that.
And the defensive line of the Gladiators announced they want to be known as the Black Ball Brigade from now on. Yeah.
So Friday comes around and a few horrendous signs are being held by the football team.
Yeah, Friday's the voting day. The Gladiators' offensive line have a banner saying, "Jessica's just right."
But what does the other one say?
The defensive line have one saying, "Robin has us throbbing."
Yeah. I can't imagine a school letting you have that sign.
I know.
I just don't imagine they'd let that go. But of course...
the winner's going to be announced at half-time of the big game.
On the Saturday.
Yeah.
Which is a grudge match between the Gladiators and the Palisades High Pumas. I don't know if they're going to be in a future book, but I've noticed with these books they sometimes get things in that are going to become a thing later. Yeah. So I'm like, it's a big grudge match, so I'll remember the Palisade High Pumas. So Louis Westman from the Sweet Valley Daily News is there, and he basically says, we're so busy, and so Liz says, well, I'm covering, so I don't get this right. Liz says, I'm covering this event for the Oracle, so I can cover it for you guys as well if you want. And Lewis agrees, right? But then I thought, the same writer is covering for both newspapers. Isn't that just going to be the same story in both newspapers?
Yeah, but I think
you're just going to change the
Oracle's only a school paper. I
guess no one's reading the Oracle. Yeah, that's
exactly.
True.
I doubt they're going to be bothered.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I've just written boring football crap.
Yes, what it is, there is a lot of boring football crap. Yeah, you're right, boring football crap.
I think there's a couple of pages of boring football crap, which I didn't really read properly, I have to admit.
I read it, but I'm happy to skip it. After the game, the principal comes out. It's time for the big announcement.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win? I think it's going to be Jessica.
I think it's going to be Elizabeth.
Yeah. It's going to be Enid. So
The winner is Robin.
Robin Wilson.
Robin gives the...
Sorry, go ahead. Path. I just want to say Bruce clears a path for her. He's like, get out the way. Robin's coming through. Yeah. The Queen, my Queen's coming through. And Robin comes up and collects her roses. And then it's tradition that they lead a procession, which is usually done from a limo. So
she gives a great speech and she says, know yourself and don't try and be anyone else.
And then
the limo arrives to parade her around the stadium.
It does, but she asks Bruce, can I use your Porsche instead? And Bruce, of course, now wildly in love with Robin, gladly agrees and pulls his Porsche up in front of the limo.
And he assumes he's going to be in the Porsche with her.
Of course. But the big twist, which nobody saw coming.
I genuinely didn't.
I did. She announces that she's going to be going with her escort, Alan. And I love that both Alan and Bruce are stunned by this, because Alan had no idea this was going to happen either.
Yeah. Bruce is horrified.
Yeah, but Alan, is quite pleased and obliges.
They're driven around in a happy days with a marching band leading the way.
Yeah.
And everyone's eyes were on them, but theirs were only on each other.
But then...
Sounds like a massive palaver.
It does.
A marching band being driven around in a limo.
Just for being queen of...
Being voted for...
Because this presumably happens every year. It sounds very expensive for the school to do this every year. But anyway... It's your favourite part of the book, I think, because we get the end now, which teases the next book, which you said to me the other day before I'd read this, you were like, the ending is amazing, just all of a sudden there's this bit that teases the next one, and you're right, it's fantastic.
One more thing on Robin, though. A few days later, the PBAs actually asked Robin to join them, and she turns them down.
Good. Do you know, good. I think if she'd said yes, that would have really, really ruined this book for me. I'm glad that at least they didn't go that far.
It wouldn't have surprised me if they had.
I thought that was the way it was going to go at one point. I did think, oh my god, is she actually going to accept it? At the end,
and they're absolutely furious, but she's too busy spending time with Alan.
Yeah, another happy couple like George and Enid, hopefully.
So.
A few weeks later,
Liz asks Jess if she's still brooding about it all.
About the PBAs?
Yeah, because she's been very distant and she's been disappearing after school.
Jess says she's got 737 problems on her list.
Yeah,
and that PBA is low.
She says the PBAs are juvenile. Mm-hmm. She's been spending her time at the beach sketching. And she feels art is extremely important to her. And that Castle Cove is a magnificent natural wonder.
Yes.
And she's been hanging out with the college crowd because they're much more the sort of people she enjoys.
But she has.
They understand life and art, apparently.
She's discovered the Cove, a natural wonder, but she's also discovered another natural wonder.
Liz is straight on to her and asks if one of the natural wonders happens to be a guy.
And it is.
Yeah.
His name?
Yeah, she starts gushing about some guy called Scott Daniels.
Scott Daniels.
Liz asks if Scott Daniels is one of the college crowd. And Jess says, yeah, but age is irrelevant. He's interested in me for what I am.
Yeah.
And what is she?
Well.
I dread to think.
A piece of shit.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And then it ends, it just says at the end.
Yeah, so we've got the little write-up for next time.
Tease.
Yeah.
And then it says Jessica with a college guy. Elizabeth fears her twin has gotten in over her head this time. Is she right? I'm going to go with yes.
I'm going to go with yes as well.
We'll find out in the next book, All Night Long.
Which is an interesting title.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see where that goes.
Yeah.
How did you feel about this one?
I thought it was pretty horrific, really.
Overall? Yeah. I mean...
felt really bad for Robin.
I felt horrible for Robin.
Everybody in it was awful, apart from Alan, Todd, and Robin.
Yeah, I love Alan and Robin. Robin I really like now. And Alan, I hope Alan's in it more. But I guess we'll find out as time goes on.
I can't remember.
I'm assuming Robin is
I think he is in it more, actually. Yeah, Robin's in it.
Because she's the most popular girl in school now, pretty much.
Yeah, co-captain of the cheerleaders.
Yeah.
Or because she lost a bit of weight.
Or because she starved herself...
and ran 5 miles a day.
5 miles a day, yeah.
And isolated herself and stopped talking to everybody for a month or however long she did it for.
Yeah. So yeah, this was the most entertaining though, this one so far. As far as the books go, I had a really good time reading it.
Yeah, this has been my favourite so far as well.
But we've got plenty more to go, and I'm looking forward to All Night Long.
Yeah, so we'll see you in a couple of weeks for All Night Long.
Absolutely, we will see you then.
Bye.